what's up, I'm Zoe. Welcome back to my channel. Today, I want to do my least favorite and favorite books of 2021. The only problem is, I hardly could think of any books that I super loved from 2021. Tells you a lot about my reading year. Then I thought, why don't I just make it my most memorable books from 2021. My favorite and least favorite books from 2021 put into one video. Whether it's good, bad, or ugly, it's there. I'm gonna pick names out of this hat, and then I am going to talk about these books. So they're all in the hat. As usual, there will be titles and chapters down below so you can control your experience. We are all here just to have fun and a good time. So now let's get into my most memorable reads from 2021. Please start on a good note. Please start on a good note. All right, let's just go with this. Oh God, I'm scared. The Ex-Hex. It's about this girl who's a witch and her ex comes back. Wait, she put a hex on her ex. That's established in the title, and then he finally comes back to their town. So many things go wrong, so they pretty much conclude that the hex actually did work on him. I don't know, it was like a rekindling romance and it had witchy vibes, so it was perfect for October. This just did not work for me. I felt like the vibes were just all over the place and it didn't seem to commit to anything. Like, there were just too many ideas and they couldn't just focus on one thing. And even the whole hex thing, it felt like they forgot about it and then they would come back and be like, oh, we've solved this, and it's like, what did you do to solve that exactly? I really thought it would be fun, but I hated the names. I hated the names, hated the vibes, hated everything. The Sweat and Soap series, I thought it was so cute. It was weird at first because if you see the cover of the first volume of this series, it is a little okay. And I really loved how healthy their relationship is and how they communicate with each other. And so I think the weirdness of it all just didn't matter in the end. I got into the story and I really ended up enjoying it. So totally recommend that manga. It's a really good one. She drives me crazy. Okay, so this is a YA contemporary romance that is between a basketball player and a cheerleader. They go to the same school, but they kind of are rivals. One thing leads to another and they end up fake dating. And I adored this story, though I will say I really loved Irene, who was the cheerleader. I wish we would have gotten her point of view in the story, to be quite honest. A Court of Silver Flames. I think I need an hour to rant about this series. I think the funny thing about A Court of Silver Flames is that I hated this book. I hated this book so much, but I think the thing that's even funnier is that I only have read the first book in the series, A Court of Thorns and Roses. Thorn and Rose, what is it called? See, I told you I wish I had an hour to talk about this book because I read it, I liked it, but the introduction of one character at the very end, that man, did not like him from the second he came into the book. And so when I had that inkling, I had that little inkling in the back of my mind, I was like, you know what, I have a bad feeling about this man. I feel he's going to be relevant in the rest of the series, because I was like, why are they driving him in so hard? So I did not check in for the rest of the series, and then I decided to check in for this one because everyone was hyping it up on TikTok. And so I just decided to jump in. I was like, hey, I'm gonna read this book. Why not? When I tell you I hated every single character in this book besides Nesta, that's very true. Well, actually, Azriel. Her and Azriel were the only two people, only two fairy fae whatever, that I liked. I had smoke for every other person. I was here for Nesta, and that's it. If Nesta got another book, I think she deserves, because hello. I feel like most people who actually read the whole series don't care for this book because they don't care for Nesta, but personally to me, Nesta was the only rational thinking one. Everyone else was in a hive mind and kissing ass. Like, who cares about that man? He is not a feminist, sweetie. He's not. Malibu Rising. Okay, so Malibu Rising is the newest book from Taylor Jenkins Reid, and honestly, I was super excited for this book. I got the arc for it by some type of miracle, but I felt like this execution of the story was so messy. There were too many characters getting a point of view that mean absolutely nothing to the grand scheme of the story. The first part of it made sense because we were kind of getting more flashbacks to the love between mcgee and his wife, and then them raising their kids and kind of the fallout of that, and then the present day view of the kids now and their dynamics and like how they're making it through life. In that part two, we started getting point of views from everyone who was at this epic party that they were throwing. I think I was officially done with it. I was like, this is ridiculous. When we were getting the point of view of some waitress who was there, and her whole point of view was just her telling the story of like why she came to California and how she's moving back to Oklahoma. Well, I don't know if it is Oklahoma she's moving back to, but she was moving back somewhere. Oklahoma, Ohio, Indiana. It just seemed like a waste of time. And I don't know if this person is going to be relevant in her next book, but I just felt like her introduction and her, like why is there a random waitress getting a point of view in the book? You know, the story of the Rivas siblings, and I feel like if we could have just had more of them, I would have cared more, but I didn't. The ending was just kind of like, okay, there was a fire thanks to their party. I don't know. Crescent City, oh god. Crescent City I was very, very curious about. And the thing about Crescent City and also A Court of Silver Flames, I read both of them within 72 hours. So where I was mentally when I read Crescent City and A Court of Silver Flames, what possessed me to read either of them, I really don't know. But Crescent City was fun. I liked, what's her name? Was her name Poppy? Why do I feel like her name was Poppy? I'm going with Poppy. I really liked her, especially in the beginning. She kind of has this party girl, I like everyone, I'm just nice and like love to have a good time type of energy. Her best friend is murdered and she kind of is like depressed, but also kind of wants to solve her murder, figure out who did it. And eventually she kind of some way or another links up with this guy who is an angel agent of the law, some type of police officer. I think that this book did do good, but then it kind of got bad. Also, there was no sex at all. I was at 500 pages and I was like, where's the sex? And I got to 600 pages and I was still like, where is the sex? Question mark. And then I got to 700 pages and I was done with it and I was just like, where was the sex? It was fine though. I would definitely read the second book. Also, after my experience with A Court of Thorn Roses, whatever, I knew not to get attached to old dude who was in the story because I was like, he might not be here very long. The Bear and the Nightingale. This is a book that had been on my TBR for years. I thought that this book was going to be like kind of fairy tales of like a girl who fell in love with like winter, or like the Jack Frost equivalent. I don't know what this book is about. I really tapped out when they had a priest who was literally like having inappropriate thoughts about her. Like, he's like, she's tempting me, she's a temptress. I DNF'd it after that point, but it was just a very bad experience and really disappointing because I remember that being a book that I saw a lot of booktubers talk about back in the day, which is the only reason why it was on my list ever. Spy Family is a manga. It's getting adapted into a show year, I believe, and I'm so excited. It's about this spy. He has to have a fake family for a mission that he has, and so he has to find an adoptive daughter and also a wife to pull it off. My baby Anya, yes, I love her. She's like my main reason for consuming this manga for so long, but I loved it. I thought it was so cute. I can't wait to watch the show because I just know the show is going to be adorable. American royals. Ugh, okay, that's not a good start at all. What if George Washington had agreed to be king? This takes place following the Washingtons, who have a daughter as the oldest, and her grandfather, one of them made it where the firstborn, period, can be king or queen. He is going to be the first queen that they will have, and I thought that this story, oh my gosh, like the potential, it just did not deliver what I thought it was going to deliver. There are 3 Washington siblings, and you would think the story would follow those 3 point of views. The 2 sisters and then the brother. No, story follows 4 point of views. First of all, the girl who is going to be queen, inevitably one day. Girl who brother is in love with, his ex, and then the youngest sister. Why do I care about these other 2? I honestly would not have minded just seeing the point of view of all of the Washington siblings, as long as the eldest had the most point of views, because I just feel like her story would be the most interesting because she is going to be the first queen. The romances in this were just so lackluster. I still hated that there were so many point of views. It just felt like it was so misguided, and I think that it had such a great idea. It was right there, and I couldn't get into it. The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. This is absolutely the shining star of my year. I remember when everyone was super obsessed with this on BookTube, and I just resisted because I was just like, I think they're just hyping it up just to hype it up. I don't believe it. It didn't seem like the type of book that I would be into, but honey, oh my gosh, this book was so good, and I just loved the story. I loved hearing about Evelyn. I loved the scandal and the secrets, and how everything just always comes full circle in these stories. Let's see. Okay, Nancy Drew. Oh my gosh. Okay, and you've been watching my channel for a while. I have been obsessed, especially around October. I was obsessed with reading the Nancy Drew files. I know that Nancy Drew is not the most well-written mystery series. I know that there are better series out there, most likely, but she is iconic. The girls wish they were as big as Nancy Drew. Okay, now I just love how messy she is in her stories, and I think it's hilarious. As long as you go into Nancy Drew with the right energy, I think you'll love it. You'll find it funny and ridiculous. The Summer I Turned Pretty series by Jenny Han. Oh my gosh. This series is one that had been recommended to me a few times, especially since I really was a fan of the To All the Boys I Loved Before series. The fact that the girl's name is Belly, why would you do that to your girl? Like, you're writing the story, why would you set her up like that? Belly? That's a crime in itself. Like, I think it got more infuriating as you continue to read. She was in love with the oldest brother. I hated that relationship. She was just turning 16, I believe, and he was a freshman in college, so I'm assuming he was like 18. Being inside Belly's head and her point of view showed that she definitely is very immature, naive, inexperienced, all of that. Like, she just did not know. I do not think that you should be in a relationship with someone who is clearly a lot more experienced than you, definitely at a different stage in his life than you, going through different things. He's off in college, you know. Like, I just feel like Belly was not able to approach those situations in the way that she should have. I definitely think that her and Jeremiah were the better choice throughout it all, especially if Jeremiah would have remained written in character. That series was a mess. I know they're adapting it on Amazon, which I have no idea how they're going to convince audiences to care. I have never read a series where there's so little material for the main pairing. Unless they give Jeremiah's storylines to the main character to make him seem like a better guy, I don't know. I genuinely don't know how they're going to make that work. Next, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Oh god. Okay, so I think this is when I finally realized that I had to admit that V.E. Schwab is just not the author for me. Addie LaRue was just really boring. I'm sorry. It just kind of came and went. Addie, I didn't love her, didn't hate her. She was just kind of there, very bland, and I guess, yeah, invisible, but forgettable also. I just didn't care about her. I didn't care about any of the romance or the tension or anything that was really going on in this story. It was just very meh. The last two, I'm kind of nervous. What is this? A Box of the Woods! Fourth book in the Truly Devious universe. This is not part of the original trilogy. The trilogy is over. That's done. During the summer after the Truly Devious series mystery is over. I feel like I'm one of the few something thousand people who read this series and still are like intrigued enough to read this one, and I had no idea what was coming out. That's how little people talk about it. I loved it. I don't know, I really like the kind of camp murder horror. I love that. I'm a scaredy cat, but I love that aesthetic. So A Box in the Woods was just right up my alley. A nice little standalone. It was very easy read. I finished it in one night, I'm pretty sure. I didn't expect to, but I did. And you know, the whole gang is there. It's just fun. Good vibes. The last one is I should have known. I should have known. People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. Oh, good God. This book was so hyped. I would not be shocked if it was getting a movie adaptation. I am so happy for everyone who loved this book, and it did everything they needed it to do. It delivered. As I continue to reflect on that book, I am more and more shocked that the flashbacks were so unnecessary. I hardly even cared about the relationship because we hardly ever got to see them in present day. We were just continually looking back on these moments of, well, they could have, but they didn't. As this is the last one, I'm gonna give you the tea. So there was this scene after they like officially kind of got together. It was still awkward vibes, which I don't really get, because I feel like if you finally get together after years of just like pining after each other, shouldn't you both feel like elated? Isn't this what you both wanted? And you literally spent like the whole night establishing that this is what you both wanted, and now we're sitting here acting like, well, I don't know if you really want this. Are you gonna act like it never happened? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Get it together. And Alex's brother was literally like to Poppy. Wait, her name was Poppy too. That's kind of funny. And he literally says to Poppy, you know, would have been fine if it was his ex, because she was a lot more ready. We just want him to be happy. We really thought they were gonna get married. He had a ring, and we don't want you to string him along. Something about that exchange just didn't sit right with me, and I was just not into it after that. I already was not into it, but when I reached that point, I was just convinced. I'm just like, yeah, these two are not meant to be. If it really was going to work out, it would not have been as complicated as they made it out to be. Either it's there or it's not. This is not like When Harry Met Sally. I truthfully thought that this story was going to end with them just concluding that they should just remain friends and just go on about their ways, because even in that final moment, in that final, hey, here I am, hi, it just felt like these are my most memorable reads of 2021. The good, the bad, and the ugly. I really hope that you enjoyed this. This was a lot more talking than I thought it was going to be. I guess when you're combining like two lists, that's what happened. Let's hope that the reading year for 2022 is better. Anyways, give this video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, turn on alerts if you don't want to miss a new video. And that is everything. Thank you so much for watching. Bye. Should know you was fucking with a boss. Yeah. Should know you was fucking with a boss. Yeah. Should know you was fucking with a